Hey everyone, episode 5 of His Dark Materials has just aired, and this is one of the best episodes so far. This is going to be my review for the episode, and as always, just be careful for spoilers from this one and anything that's came before. So yeah, one of my favourite episodes this week. This show keeps getting better and better, and in my personal opinion, this episode had a lot of expectations for me because this part of the story is my favourite from the Subtle Knife book, when Lyra and Will break into Lord Boreal's house. The scenes in the book have so much tension, and it was definitely replicated on the show. You could feel the tension when they break into the house. But yeah, if you've read the book, you'll know there's a lot of big changes this time, and a lot of new scenes as well, which we'll get to in a minute. But I must say, the golden monkey in the car with the seatbelt on. The golden monkey goes through a lot this episode, from being left behind by Mrs. Coulter, being attacked by Pan. Even though he's done some bad stuff, he's a little shit, I must say, you feel for him this episode. The golden monkey is Mrs. Coulter's soul. It's a mirror image of her in a way. It looks beautiful, but at the same time is formidable. Does some bad stuff, but you still feel for her. Anyways, I'm a big fan of Mrs. Coulter, you know that, and I love the scenes this week. He totally wants her, but she's just playing him. He's showing off his fancy collection and his sound speakers, but she's just not interested. But she does fake interest when it works in her favour. I'm sure if I remember correctly, this is not in the books. Believe when Will and Lyra are trying to break in, Mrs. Coulter just rocks up in a car. Well, obviously she's already there. We've seen it last week. And I liked it. It definitely worked. We get more Mrs. Coulter screen time and more Ruth Wilson, who's probably the best actor on this show. And that's no dig at anyone else. This cast is amazing. This show is full of great actors. Mrs. Coulter was definitely the star player this week, and a lot of her scenes further developed her relationship with Lord Boreal. But also she went and visited Mary Malone, which was a big surprise. But I loved it. One of the best additions so far, out of any episode. All Mrs. Coulter wants is her daughter. She wants her daughter back and for her daughter to love her. And then she goes and meets this random woman that Lyra idolises so much. And she also idolises Ma Coster, who took care of her, who loved her, even though she was not hers. And then on the flip side, Mary idolises Lyra in a way. She talks her up to her mother, how amazing she is, how intelligent she is, her grasp on physics. I feel that Mrs. Coulter kinda gets jealous. Mrs. Coulter wants that. She wants Lyra to feel that way about her. But like Lyra said in this episode, she wants to believe Mrs. Coulter. She wants to love and trust her mother, but she knows she mustn't. We've seen what Mrs. Coulter is capable of. She loves her daughter more than anything, but just go back to season 1 when she hurt her, when she had the golden monkey attack Pan. And this week we get a reverse of that when Pan is able to attack the golden monkey. Lyra in a way is becoming more and more like her mother. And she doesn't want that. Nobody wants that. Like Will says, Lyra doesn't have to be anyone. She has to be herself. No one else. This episode definitely showed us that Mrs. Coulter has a lot of power and control over her demon. Quite similar to the witches who have the power to leave their demon. And I'm sure John Parry as a shaman also possesses this power. And Mrs. Coulter has it as well. She left the monkey at the house when she went to visit Mary. And she was able to withstand the pain of Pan hurting the monkey. That crippled Lyra, and it crippled pretty much everyone else whose demon's been hurt so far. But Mrs. Coulter is able to withstand the pain, and she was almost able to get up and get to Lyra. It's terrifying, her pain tolerance. And like I said, time and time again, Mrs. Coulter is the best character on the show. And this episode again shows us why. There's yet to be a scene with her I did not enjoy. And I don't think there's a single moment I can criticise of her performance. Ruth Wilson's fantastic. But also Daphne Keane was great as well, and I think she has some of her best scenes with Ruth Wilson. But also with Will as well. I'm definitely starting to believe their relationship. I had my doubts at start because Will and Lyra are two of my favourite characters in all of fiction, and I've always been worried that the show might fall flat, but so far I believe it. I think it's working. So yeah, like I said, a lot of new additions, a lot of new expansion. Like the scenes in Lord Boreal's house when they're trying to get the Lethiometer back. It was a very action heavy scene, whilst in the books there's a lot more sneaking with a bit of action towards the end. Sometimes changes, especially when it involves adding action scenes, sometimes feel unnecessary and fall flat, but definitely not here. The tension was definitely there. And the scenes between Lyra and Mrs. Coulter, they were just incredible, and it gave more development to their relationship. In this scene you've got two battles going on, two dynamics, Mrs. Coulter versus Lyra, and then you've got Will versus Lord Boreal. And don't forget that Will's got immense power, the subtle knife. If you think about it, he could have easily cut down Lord Boreal, or cut his demon, or anything. But he doesn't want to hurt anyone, that's not who Will is. He could have easily stabbed Lord Boreal, went over and cut Mrs. Coulter's throat, and that's it. But that's not who he is. especially after making that man fall from the stairs, and from what we've seen earlier with Angelica's brother. Will took the knife, so Angelica's brother was no longer protected by it, and then was attacked by the Spectres. And now we've seen the aftermath of the Spectre attack. They attack adults and they take out whatever makes you human. Everything that makes you human, they take out. You're kind of like an empty shell. And it's quite disturbing. And from this episode, it seems like Mrs. Coulter has plans for them, because she wants to go to Chittagazze to get Lyra, even though Lord Boreal doesn't want to go there, and he's warned her about the Spectres. But Mrs. Coulter is not concerned. Seems like everyone's amassing into Chittagazze now. The witches left their world last week, and Lee and John are on their way. But Mary's there too. She's left her lab, the cave is shut down, and she's in Chittagazze. But the angel did say to her that she's got some sort of protection against the Spectres. If I remember correctly, I don't think they ever said why. I believe it's because of the angels. They're able to fight off Spectres. I'm not exactly sure on that one, can't really remember if it was ever explained. I'm going down the route of it's just the angels. But Mary's been told she has to play the serpent, but she's not entirely sure what that means yet. She had a look in the Bible, and that couldn't even give her the answer she required. And just a quick mention here, I loved it when Mary googled Mrs. Coulter. So yeah, great episode so far. My only minor complaint is the fact I'm not really a fan of the Magisterium scenes. They kind of slowed the episode down and took away from other scenes and other characters. But in a way, it was necessary to the plot. It's all about their reaction to the witch's attack, them leaving this world, going into Azrael's window, and even what Mrs. Coulter's up to. People are getting a bit worried about her, what she's up to, and even though Cardinal MacPhail got the position of the Cardinal because of Mrs. Coulter, he can't let her get away with everything. But she has a lot of power against him. She was the one that dealt with the previous Cardinal and put him on the throne, so he's also worried that she might, throw him under the bus. But he's got a tight grip on that power, and he's removing rivals. He's had Father Graves thrown into the cell, and he's on his next move now. Not always a fan of the Magisterium, but these scenes are important. But I will say, have you noticed, most of the guys at Magisterium have creepy or nasty demons, like rats or snakes or even a spider. It must kind of suck that when you grow up and your demon changes permanently, it turns into a spider. But that kind of, symbolises who you are. Your demon's a spider, kind of shows your personality. Apart from a minor annoyance of the Magisterium, this is a brilliant episode, one of my favourites so far. I think this is definitely in the top 3, alongside last week and the season 1 finale. There's only 2 episodes left this season, and they're going to be big ones. If you've read the books, you know what's coming, but no matter what, the show is definitely going to add some new stuff and further the story. Surprise even us hardcore book fans. So guys, let me know your thoughts on episode 5. Less characters this week, no witches, no Lee Scoresby, but more screen time for Lyra, for Mary, for Will, and Mrs. Coulter. And that's great. Sometimes these smaller episodes, not smaller in scale because this was still a big action-packed episode, smaller in terms of less characters, you know what I mean? You're not switching to a new place every 5 seconds, you've got 20 characters to deal with. Sometimes these episodes that focuses on a couple groups of characters, sometimes they're the best. It's kind of like Game of Thrones with its massive cast. Sometimes you leave characters for several episodes, sometimes you spend all the time with just a couple group of characters. And it works because you get more screen time, more development. But don't worry, all your favourites will be back soon. We'll see Lee again, we'll see John Parry, we'll see the witches. And I'm so excited for the ending of The Subtle Knife. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. Here's some more videos while you wait, and I'll see you guys in the next one.